What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here, coming at you bright and early here on April 17th for National Mustang Day. And huge thanks to Shell and Shell V-Power Nitro Plus for sponsoring this video. But as you can see, I am here in DC. There's the Washington Monument, and they just unloaded this Plymouth Voyager from the Cars at the Capitol display here in Washington, DC, which is where I'm currently at. And so yeah, you're just gonna have to stay tuned to see what they actually end up putting in there starting today. And it was, of course, the Bullitt Mustang, one of two used in the filming of Bullitt. This one was the one that was driven by Steve McQueen in many of the memorable shots, like the reverse burnout scene and a few others. So this is the car that was revealed in Detroit as well back in January, and I did see it back then, and it was amazing to see it at the original revealing. But to see it again here out in the open is really cool too, and not see it under show lights or anything like that, and it still just looks so awesome. So I was there to watch them load it into the Cars at the Capitol display, where it was on display from April 17th to April 23rd. And once it was loaded into the display and nicely enclosed, they also had a press conference there where the owner of the car spoke, as well as several other people from the Historical Vehicle Association and a few others. After that, it just so happened that there was a Ford event also in Washington, D.C. that day, where I got to see the 2019 Mustang Bullitt that they had on the streets there out in the open, which was really cool because up until that point, I had only seen the new Bullitt, under show lights, artificial lighting in convention centers. And so to actually be able to see it on the streets was really cool. We even got to hear it a little bit. And so, yeah, that was a really cool way to continue on with the day, but it got even better. What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here, and I'm very excited to announce that I'm able to speak with Sean Kiernan here, the owner of the original Bullitt Mustang. And, I know many of you are as excited about the Bullitt as I am, but I am geeking out because this is literally the stuff of legend for me. I mean, me and my dad used to go online and try and figure out, where's this car at, and read the articles, and it was this huge thing. It was like the Loch Ness Monster, and for it to finally be out in the open is a really big deal, and to be sitting next to the guy that owns it is just mind-blowing for me. So anyway, thank you once again for sitting down. We've already been talking a little bit here, but just a few questions I want to set up with everyone at home just to kind of give them an idea. So how long has the car been in your family?
Yeah, so 1974, a long time. And it's funny is people ask me how long has it been hidden, because how long have you owned it and how long has it been hidden is two different questions. Yeah. And we had to hide it when we had to, which was basically when the internet was born. So the bittersweet internet was the hiding reason. But yeah, 1974. So nice. My whole life for sure.
Yeah. So I know your dad just bought it and rode and track, but was he did he just stumble upon it and be like, hey, that'd be a cool car to buy? Or was he hoping someone would list it? Was that a car he had his eye on? Or?
No, in 1974, you're 6 years out of the movie. So in, mid-70s, movie cars weren't really a thing.
True.
Not like today. And, my dad was a very, very big follower of Carroll Shelby. He was a big GT350 guy, GT500. And I think that's honestly what he was looking for. It was definitely a fastback car. When my dad just sold an MG, and which was the first car they actually bought new, and sold it. My mom gave my dad the blessing to go and buy a Mustang or whatever he wanted, and because they needed a daily driver. And so my dad, knowing him, he was mailbox, road and track Hemmings, right? It was the first thing they pulled out. Yeah. So road and track, and it's funny because they actually sold, I think, the MG the week prior. So this happened pretty quickly.
Wow. So it's just the perfect timing.
Perfect timing. And honestly, the car in my family and everything has been perfect timing. Because if you look at every date that I've done something, it's been spot on, perfect timing. But yeah, so it was October 1974, road and track. Dad pulls out of the mailbox. I guarantee he didn't get to the front door because that's how he is. He's already reading classifieds, walks up to the front door of the house, sit down, and called Frank Marianaka, who was the second owner. And somehow, some way, the original Bullitt car ends up basically an hour from my dad's house. And talking to the second owner now, I'm pretty sure it was his wife that did the classified article because it was time to get a station wagon.
Yeah, station wagon.
Yeah, and because Bullitt's misspelled or best offer. I mean, come on, right? Yeah. In the car, regardless of it being Bullitt, is a Max Belchowski built fastback Mustang. Handled well, powerful, built extremely well. Even though it had like a lot of weird quirks about it because it had the camera mounts that were welded horribly and cuts in the firewall and the radiator support with the saws. I mean, it was just hacked, right? But it really wasn't that sought after at that point. And for it to be in New Jersey, so yeah, my dad bought it because it was a fastback, but kept it because it was Bullitt.
So when did you first see the movie Bullitt? And did you have any idea that your dad owned the car at that point?
So this is probably late 80s, so 88, 89. I was 7, 8 years old. And of course I only saw The Chase because, it was our movie and I'm 7, right? So I got to see the cool 10 minutes out of it. So we were talking, my father was talking to me about we were going to bring the car. He was at my grandfather's garage in Jersey, and he goes, we're going to bring the car down. I wanted to talk to you about it. I was starting to really get into cars pretty hard. And he goes, but this is something you can't talk about. And even at that point, it really wasn't something he said, okay, this is a secret, because at that point, it was just, it was a neat thing, but it wasn't a sought-after thing, if that makes sense. So,
well, the Brad Bowling article, too, didn't it mention that?
That was 89, 90, yeah.
Didn't that say that you had planned to, drive to school or
yeah,
something? And
that was my dad playing with Brad.
Okay.
So, Brad...
all of us online were like, what?
Right, yeah, this guy's going to put it in a ditch. Yeah. And that's what I love, finally, revealing to the world and saying, we drove it a lot, which everybody was like, this guy's just hoarding it. And I'm a car guy. And not only a car guy, but a Mustang guy. So that was two things that was very gratifying to do. Okay. But so 87, 88, 89, because we were going to bring the car down from my grandfather's house. And my grandfather's like, all right, it's time to get this car out of my garage. Basically because my grandfather wouldn't stop hitting it. He would pull in the garage or back into it accidentally. And to know my grandfather, he was a prisoner of war, World War II. I mean, just a great guy, but didn't care about that car. I mean, just not at all. So that's why there's a new bumper on it. That's why there's a new valance. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care who you are, body shop wise, that bumper's toast. Yeah. So
I wondered about the front bumper because everything else is exact.
It's perfect patina, and that was a long talk I had with a lot of guys, even Kevin Wardy, and going, what do you think I should do? And Mark Gessler and McKeel Haggerty, I said, what do you think I should do? You think I should buy just an original bumper and put it on? No, put a new bumper on it and tell the story. So that's something I like to do because I think my grandfather and my dad would have got a kick out of that, telling that story. So that's when the car came to the house. That's when I found out what it was. Because you got to remember, the car wasn't running when I was born. So the only person I ever saw drive it was Steve McQueen. So when I saw the movie or saw the chase scene and saw the car, I wanted to go jump it. I mean, I had 2 hills on a back road. It's still in my head. I know exactly where there's at. I wanted to go see if we can get some air. Because imagine having that car. You're like, man, this thing can get off the ground.
I want to jump my 19 if it didn't destroy it. I would totally launch it off San Francisco.
I mean, who wouldn't want to? It'd be awesome. So that was little kid, that's what I was all about. And then not until that the internet was born that we started focusing in on what it really meant, not only to us as a family, but to everyone. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So did your dad ever have any regret for not selling the car to McQueen? Especially once McQueen died in 1980, it was 3 years after the letter was sent. Mm-hmm. Did he feel bad that he obviously, he had every right to keep the car, but
right. Did he have a regret? That's a great question. No. My dad never regretted anything.
Steve McQueen had enough cars.
Yeah, and honestly, if my dad did sell it to Steve in 77 and he passed away in 80, who knows where the car would have gone? Yeah, so, and I love this about my father, and unfortunately, I'm the same way. When I get a car, it instantly becomes a part of the family, and it is very hard to get rid of. Yeah. And it's family for life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a bittersweet thing, and because I have every car I've ever had, and I'm here to tell you, none of them or nobody wants any of them. Because it's like, I got an 81 Plymouth Horizon, that's what I came home from the hospital in.
Oh, wow.
It was an 80 Plymouth Horizon. My first truck was an 86 Ranger.
Yeah.
So, it's nothing anybody wants, but they mean a lot to me.
Right.
And this one just happens to be, Bullitt Mustang.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you got the right idea, because, half of the cars that I've sold, I regret.
Oh, yeah.
I always, miss some, and I'm like, obviously there's financial stuff, so it's like, I can't afford to keep all of them.
Right.
But it's one of those things that, if I ever had a ton of money later in life, I'd go back and try and buy all those cars back and restore them.
It's funny meeting the people now, that have these amazing collections. Like, the only collection I'll ever have is of cars nobody wants and no value. Because the upkeep is awesome.
Right.
Go to Advanced and get whatever you need. But yeah, with the Bullitt, it was always something that was just part of the family. But they all are. And we had a 75 911 that I'm telling you, it didn't. Maybe ran 200 miles after we got it. It's definitely a restoration project that we never got around to. Bullitt spent his whole life next to that car, and I've still got it, still sitting in the garage where next to where Bullitt was. And that car means as much to me as Bullitt does, and it drives people crazy when I say that.
Yeah.
Because Bullitt obviously is very, very close to my heart. Because of the smell, the feel, brings me back to childhood, reminds me of my father. That other car does the same thing, but so do a lot of them. So it's
sentimental.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and we all are with our cars. Just why we all are car guys.
Exactly.
Because it hits on every button that we.
It's more than
strive.
a car.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't point A, point B. This is part of the family. They're coming with us,
Exactly.
So I dig that.
So, in the Brad Bulling article, it mentioned the story of Drew Barrymore desperately trying to get your dad to drive the car in Charlie's Angels, right?
Yeah.
And she wanted the original car, and she even offered to go out to dinner with your dad, right?
Yeah.
In order to get him to get the car.
Yeah, the transportation guy who, come to find out, who contacted HVA whenever in January and said, hey, I'm the transportation, which I had all that guy's info because he wrote us multiple letters.
Sent you gift baskets and everything.
Oh my gosh. He was calling my mom at school, and when it comes down to it, transportation guys do what they have to, otherwise somebody else will get it done.
Yeah.
And I've grown appreciation for those guys being, not in the movie business, but definitely being aware of the movie business. I know what they have to do to get it done.
Yeah.
They don't care. And so first thing he did was apologize, which was cool. But yeah, so Drew Barrymore, instead of the Camaro, the IndyCar car, she wanted the original 68 Bullitt. And it was 99, reached out to my father's, Columbia Pictures, called, letters, everything possible. And, the car at that point, we hadn't started taking apart at all. So it honestly looks a lot like it does right now, but motor wasn't nothing. It still
didn't even drive.
I'd tell you, it looked a lot like, except a little bit more together, it looked a lot like the barn photos that posted up online right after I revealed. Yeah, it looked a lot like that. Just sitting on jack stands in the garage, not doing anything, and that's basically what that car did its whole life. And we didn't do anything, and the internet pretty much took care of the rest. So, yeah.
So, what's your favorite part about the car?
Favorite part about the car? I'm going to have to say, and I'm going to be nerdy here for a second and hit on the feels, but it's grabbing the shifter. Now, the wheel isn't original, and my dad had a Momo on it. When I started to restore it, we have a little Momo, which is in my office. So I put a replica wheel on it. It's original replica, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the actual shifter is the one my mom and dad used in the 70s. And so getting in it, firing it up, and not only having the smell, the feel, the sitting there and being where my dad was, but it's grabbing the shifter and all the stuff that my dad used to explain to me when I was a kid about how it was, the brakes were 50-50, and as Leno says, it was like suggestive braking. It was either sometimes it was going to stop and throw you through the windshield, or hey, we'll stop eventually. Eventual braking. That's the feelings that I have when I grab the shifter and feeling what my dad used to explain to me. That's probably my favorite part of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because it brings me closest to my father, who's been almost gone for 4 years now. It really brings me right back to him sitting in the passenger seat, and that to me means more than anything. And I'll tell you, the other thing is, the car was built obviously to be in the movie, and it really shows that even when it's sitting out on the mall right now, you can look at it and go, this thing knows. I mean, it really is. It's the celebrity I could never talk about that was a part of the family.
Yeah.
But it really kind of has that persona. So just amazing stuff. The car itself, to me, being part of the family, brings me back to my father really fast. And that's the part I love about it.
Another car-related question. Since Shell's the one who brought me out here, I have to ask, what kind of gas do you put in the car?
Yeah, so
you did rebuild the engine and everything.
I did,
right?
very much so. So the MB Center, and this is a funny thing. So the MB Center, since the starting of this, has helped me a lot, and they're a big part of the HVA and Shell and MB Center. They're all a big family. So there is leaded racing fuel at the MB Center, and that's all she's had in since probably September of last year.
That's awesome.
And catch me at a non-Shell station, it'll be because I have to.
Right. Same. No, I mean,
yeah.
I honestly, even before I ever worked with Shell, I always went to Shell stations because I seemed like I got better fuel economy. The car just seemed a little stronger.
And you and I think, are on the same page as far as, we like consistency in what we do. And we feel at home. We pull in a Shell station, you know what you're getting, you know what you're dealing with. Exactly. And, you go to another gas station, or you're not in your normal place, and you start feeling weird, right?
You don't know what you're going to get.
And I think that's, as a car guy, that's how we all feel. And I'm a huge Formula One guy, and, Shell sticker on the side of the Ferrari.
So that sells it right there.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I'm a Schumacher nerd too. Yeah. So that for me, that's I got to do it.
Well, and that's why, with my Bullitt, I want to keep the engine really good, because they have all those extra things in there to protect it and make sure that it's running forever. Because I want to put 200,000 miles on my Bullitt. I just want to drive it, cross country.
And this is the one I'm going to drive. I'm going to tell you, talking to everybody.
That was going to be my next question. Are you ordering a 2019 Bullitt?
Oh my God, yeah, I was first in line.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
And it's funny because everybody talks and it's like, hey, do you drive it? Because I get 3 questions. Is you're going to restore it? And, obviously I'm not, because I have. Right. I mean, this is it. And the second one is how much you think it's worth. And the third one is, do you drive it?
Yeah.
And I do enough, right? Because I'm trying to preserve the car. So you better believe I'm going to drive that car. The new one, I mean, that's what it's going to be made for. My number 2 Bullitt will be driven hard. I don't want to say hard, but enough.
Yeah.
The first drive in that car will probably be a very emotional one, because working with Ford and Shell and HVA and Haggerty so long, and we're all kind of honing in towards this one point. And what that is the new car, the old car, bringing them together, the history of my car, the 50 years, and we're all kind of going towards this one moment. The one emotional thing for me will be driving the 2019, the car that was more or less dedicated to my father, without him. That'll be a toughie. But that's why I'm going to be thrashing through the gears. I mean, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, I'm buying the car. It'll be going through a Michigan dealer so I can drive home to Nashville. I'm telling you, I will put 8 hours on that car the day I get it.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm ordering mine at a dealership 4 hours away too, just to get it sooner.
Right.
Because I didn't want to wait for it to get transferred on the rail car, because that takes weeks extra.
Exactly.
So I'm going to a dealer where I can get it with a truck drive.
Get
right from
me
the factory.
Closest dealer to the Flat Rock plant. That's
exactly.
where I want.
That's same here. It's so funny. So what do you plan to do with the original Bullitt Mustang? Because you announced you're going to tour for a year, right?
Yeah. And
what's the plan after that?
Museums.
Okay.
My goal has always been, because I always wanted to share the car, and just like me, I want to tell everyone I'm a Mustang enthusiast, so I want the car to be shown to everybody we unintentionally kept it from its whole life.
Yeah.
Everybody out there that wants to see the car, that wants to be a part of it, that I would love to tell a story to, those are the people I want to hit as much as I can during this 2018. But after that, I want it to kind of stationary, but I don't want to lose control of it. So museums, they like to, keep cars at least for a year and do certain things. So I'm kind of writing a new book on how to do the ruling with the museums. I'm doing a 90-day window of certain museums. So that's what I'm going to do. And we'll hopefully be announcing that soon. And we'll do a 90-dayer starting in November. And then after that, we'll go to another one and then continue from there. And then after that, maybe play around a little bit. But I'll tell you, the end result will be to come back home. Because for my mom, for the farm, that's something I want. Now, security will have to be bumped up, which it is. But I think it'll take me about a year and a half to build an amazing garage to bring the car back to, and I think that's where I'm at right now. So,
I didn't know if you were going to do like the Henry Ford Museum. That way, it's like
Henry Ford is on my list. Yeah, and it hits close to home. So my wife's family all work for Ford.
Okay, nice.
And her dad actually has been with Ford for almost 30 years, and
You married into the right family. If it was the wrong company, you'd be
I'm telling
really
you,
right
but she had an '09 Mustang convertible when I met her.
Nice.
I'm not saying that's why we're together, but that was a very influencing part.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, and then she told me that her dad, her whole family works for Ford, and she's from Dearborn. I'm like, good Lord.
Keeper.
So it's just it's a keeper, and she's a car girl, and they're just very rare. And she's amazing. I mean, she's the only reason I'm sitting right here. Her and my mom, two amazing people that make me just day to day. That's why I'm up.
All right, so huge thanks once again for taking some time to sit down with me here, and maybe we can meet up once we both have our 2019s and do a little drive or something if I'm in your neck of the woods or something like that.
Without a doubt.
It'd be awesome.
Back roads down Tennessee are epic. So
kill the dragon maybe, do something like that.
We'll go 30. Yeah. So one thing that sucks about that road is 35-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Oh, that's true.
But it is tough. It's a good whip. But back roads down there are awesome. That'd be amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Be good. Hopefully, be good enough for the summer, right?
Yeah,
we'll see.
I know.
Maybe
Fingers
fall,
crossed.
some fall leaves going through.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, we'll see. The weather will be nice. It won't be freezing like it is now.
Hopefully. Well, thanks again so much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it. Take care.
Without a doubt. Thanks for being a Bullitt fan. It just makes me feel comfortable to talk to you.
No, it's
finally. It's like I've been watching everybody forever, and finally be able to talk to everybody and tell them, hey.
It's a win-win all around. Like I said, it's magical for me. It's great for you.
It is. It really is. So
just good
I
feelings
appreciate
all around.
it for sure.
Cool. All right. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Thanks once again to Shell for sponsoring my trip out here to Washington, D.C. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.